Hey, what's up guys, and today I'm going to be giving you a movie, part 1 of What If Kaguya Fell in Love with Naruto and Joined Him. If you enjoy seeing one see part 2, go ahead and comment down below and tell me you want to see part 2 guys, and I'll be posting it as soon as possible for you guys to enjoy. Go ahead and check out the link if you want to enjoy for yourself down in the description, and also remember to stay tuned for the episodes coming over in the Making 3 and then the Making 2. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, and the Making 2 and the Making 3, which I post what fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and also guys, remember to comment and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So without further ado, what is to begin this new movie? Start the intro. The touch of a goddess. Something no mortal man should ever trifle with or cross. A simple touch or a glance would send you spiraling into an abyss of insanity. The touch of a goddess, blessing our spirit for those who cross the path of a woman who can rip the world asunder without a care in the world. The touch of a goddess. You were told stories when you were a child about beings like Kaguya Osusuke, who could create the stars, moons, control time and space itself. But you often thought they were just fairy tales because of the sheer magnitude of power that those people possess. After all, how could you understand something if you had not yet experienced it? You cannot even believe something if you had not yet witnessed it. Sasuke, this isn't good. In the silence, a voice spoke up. The silence was deafening as the blue-eyed individual looked over towards the floating being hovering several feet off the ground. A woman. No. She was no woman. Sasuke. Sasuke. Hey, answer me. Naruto. Shut up. The now named individual that was named Naruto grit his teeth at the reserved tone of his best friend. He could not pull his gaze away from the goddess that stood in front of him, but he could feel the turmoil that was inside of Sasuke right now. He wasn't confident either. Naruto had to physically stop his hands from shaking as the pale-skinned woman finally moved. Her head snapped towards her position, and she stared. And then finally, she spoke. Tenji, she said. Her voice had a bit of sorrow in it. As Naruto realized the woman was looking directly at him instead of Sasuke, his spine tingled, his fingers clenched at this woman bearing down her will on top of him. He swallowed thickly as her eyes narrowed. In sadness, a sorrowful expression came on her face as he wondered, who was Tenji? Even now, you stand defiantly. I did what I believe was right, but yet, you judge me so. Naruto swallowed thickly once again as he glanced towards Sasuke, who was nervously gripping his kusanagi. Before Naruto could speak, he was interrupted by another. Mother, that is not The creature was silent as Kaguya released her chakra. The world felt her power as it spread across the globe, swallowing it, drowning it in a pit of despair. As Naruto had to resist the urge to drop to his knees. What is this? Mother Uchiha was not even this powerful. This woman was on a whole nother level. Silence, she said, as she looked towards the glob of black chakra. The veins around her eyes became pronounced as she looked at Zetsu. He is Tenji, holding the power of my sons. As she went silent for a moment, I would never forget those eyes. As Naruto pushed all the negative emotions that came out of her away, once calm, he placed his hand on top of Sasuke's shoulder and started channeling his chakra through his friend, calming him down as well. As the blonde teen nodded towards his friend, who nodded back, as he shifted his attention back to the floating goddess. His clothing was torn badly, and his shirt was barely hanging on him as he gave Sasuke a nod as he flared his chakra. A golden cloak fluttered around him, shining brightly like the sun itself, as a peaceful aura spread, clashing against Kaguya's negative emotions that was pouring from her. His presence, so bright and loving, was a complete opposite to the presence that Kaguya was releasing at the moment. 7 pitch black orbs appeared behind him as they swirled in a hypnotic pattern. One of the orbs floated down toward his hand, as it changed into a thin staff and spin, as Naruto reached and grabbed the weapon, as he twirled it in his hand. He looked right in her eyes. I don't know who Tenji is, but he sounds like someone important to you. She did not respond toward the statement, yet she just looked at him. She believed that he was her lover, who got reincarnated. As Naruto looked towards his best friend, an unspoken conversation happened just by that look, as Sasuke released a grip on his Kusanagi, as Naruto rested his staff against his shoulder as he spoke. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, he said. Super Gramps spoke about you. He said that you are an emotionless monster. As Naruto felt the shift of emotions instantly, her somber expression was still there, but he could feel the anger lurking beneath it. She started to slowly descend down, but not once did her eyes look away. She kept looking directly towards him. But that's not true, is it? Said Naruto. She did not answer though. I sense far too much emotions coming from you. Sadness, anger, regret. Unlike Madara, you actually understand what you're doing. Kaguya was silent for what felt like hours, as she was just looking at him until she finally spoke. You even speak like him, she said, as she was still looking at him. I will not make the same mistake twice, she said, as Naruto was caught off guard when she suddenly appeared in front of him. What? When the hell did she move? Naruto! He heard the voice of Sasuke screamed out, as a wall of blackness seemed to surround him, cutting off all light from the outside. I will correct the mistake that you made. After I cleanse this world, we will be together again, Tenji. I promise. Naruto heard her voice, but he was unable to pinpoint it. Everywhere he looked was black, black, black. Hate, sadness, loneliness, anger, despair, rage. Every emotion that he had conquered to train to become a sage slammed right into him, like one of Tsunade's superhuman punches. But they were not his emotions. As he closed his eyes and focused on the turmoil that was spinning wildly inside of Kaguya. Normally, he would be freaking out and screaming on how unfair life was, but this wasn't the time. He could surely think that while he wasn't entirely sure what was happening, he could assume that he was somehow inside of Kaguya, subconscious, well, at least some part of it. He knew that he was cut off from the outside world in some fashion, but somehow he was still able to think. And that's all he needed, to think. He needed to think. Shit. What was he even thinking? He quickly clasped his hands together as he calmed his breathing as he started to gather his chakra. He needed to be calm here. Sasuke was relying on him. So was the rest of the world. Damn it. There go the anxiety. As he breathed in and out. In and out. I would be surprised if you can escape this shithole. Naruto ignored the voice of his partner as he focused on his surroundings. But he was rewarded with absolutely nothing. So, it wasn't working. He even thought about something, her emotions. He flared his chakra as he went through her negative emotions before he came upon something rather unique. He couldn't understand what exactly he was sensing due to the lack of emotions, but if he was thinking about it, it was like kind of a ribbon. A ribbon that was attached to another ribbon. As he kept himself calm, he breathed in and out. Before he tugged on the ribbon, nothing happened. A brilliant white light exploded right in front of his face, forcing him to clench his eyes shut. There was silence for several moments before he heard another voice, but this time, it was not in sadness but in anger. Ishiki. As Naruto slowly opened his eyes, he blinked in confusion at the scene playing out in front of him. Was this a memory? A vastly different looking Kaguya was glaring hatefully at another pale-skinned man. The man's face was shrouded in darkness, but Naruto could see the horn that wrapped around his head. He wore a high-collar kimono that was open at the chest. His kimono was white and lacked any kind of design on the front. Princess Kaguya. So frail and pathetic. Ishiki mocked, still running from Momoshiki argued, as he laughed. Kaguya's glare became vicious, but she did not challenge the man. How did you find me? The pale-skinned man slowly circled Kaguya, an action that made her tremble in fear. How? Easy. You're shit at covering tracks, he snorted, before placing a hand on her shoulder. Momoshiki requested, I deliver you today. He ignored her terrified expression as he squeezed her shoulder painfully. But, he said, I enjoy watching you suffer, like the vermin you are. Run. Go. Run like your life depends on it. He relinquished his hold on her shoulder as he shoved her away. Run, Kaguya. Run, he said. Kaguya wasted no time as she ran, as her form was a blur to Naruto. Several seconds passed by, as the pale-skinned man laughed loudly. Momoshiki, you really batched this one up, didn't you? Your Shiki won't be pleased, he said, as the man then disappeared into nothingness. Ishiki, Momoshiki, Yorishiki? There were more of these beings? Beings that scared Kaguya? Naruto wondered, as Naruto tried to stop the mental breakdown that was about to unfold in his mind right now. If they dealt with Kaguya and that was a big if, that meant they had dealt with 3 other people that were just like Kaguya. What the hell? Is this some kind of sick joke? Naruto yelled. Another brilliant flash of light appeared in front of his face, forced him to close his eyes. Once light faded, he lowered his arm and tilted his head at the vision in front of him. Do you really have to leave, Tenji-kun? As Naruto looked at the fair-skinned man known as Tenji, he had black hair and he wore it in a rather unique way. He had a straw-like headband that wrapped around his forehead, and he wore a string necklace with a megatama on it. Tenji smiled softly as he turned towards his lover. I have to, my love, he said. These peace talks are necessary. Kaguya looked down towards the floor. The line of that are barbarians. They cannot see reason, and they only think with violence, she said. A gentle hand was set on hers. We will never know if we won't try, Kaguya-chan. Isn't peace what you want, he asked. Her white orbs looked into his, as she turned her head shyly. As she nodded, of course, but at the risk of your life. What if you get killed, she said. He rubbed her hand before smiling once more. Then that is the risk I take, for what I believe in. I will find peace. Do you know why, my love, he said. A small smile formed on her face, as she focused back on his eyes. Because you never go back on your word. The man nodded as he leaned forward, as his lips pressed against hers. As Naruto looked at the scene in front of him, he was aware of the uncanny emotions at him and this man Tenji share. Never going back on their word, check. Wanting peace, check. Willing to put their life on the line for their people and their home, check. Willing to speak with their enemies to achieve peace, check. He now understood to some degree why Kaguya had called him Tenji. But she didn't actually know him. How did she broke him down and knew that he was all for those things with just a mere glance? How could she have possibly known about the similarities that he shared with her late lover? It made absolutely no sense. I would never forget those eyes. He remembered her saying that to him. And this Navi, come and rest her soul, used to say that the eyes were the windows to the soul. So maybe she saw his soul. That was... He was stopped from thinking more as another light flashed in front of him. This time, he just looked at it. Once it died down, he saw the vision. Why did you betray me, Tenji? Kaguya now resembled the form that he first saw her in when she took over Madara's body. Why? Why did you do it? Was peace more important than your love? I love you. I put you first, above everything. She screamed as tears poured down her face. They attacked me, and you punished me. Me, after everything I'd done for you. Her tears dripped down her chin and poured on Tenji's face. His form was unmoving. His gaze was completely blank. Kaguya gripped his wrist and placed his hand on her stomach. You made me do it, Tenji, she said. Can you feel him? Your children. You would have killed your pregnant lover. She screamed to the heavens as rain started to descend down from the sky. Naruto's eyes narrowed sadly as he looked at Kaguya as he felt every last emotion coming from her. They assaulted his core and buried deep within his chest. He didn't even notice the tears that were slowly sliding down his cheeks. Why was this affecting him so much? He didn't even know that she existed until a couple hours ago. So why the hell was this bothering him? Why was he so invested in her life now? Seeing some of her most important and intimate memories in her mind, was that the reason? Possibly. As Naruto saw her forehead rest against the man's chest as she cried, he would have never expected to see her in a state like this. It made him realize that she wasn't all that different from any humans, that she had emotions and she felt just as harshly as anyone else. Her suffering was no less severe than others. She felt and she hurt. But the way Hagoromo spoke about her, it was like she was some monster that was incapable of being reasoned with. But Naruto could not see that at all. The details that Super Gramps had left him with had painted that image of who Kaguya was supposed to be. And this was not what he was seeing at the moment. He was seeing a broken woman that was molded by the harsh and unforgiving reality that unfolded in front of her. Even now, watching this scene, it once again reminded him that negative emotions from your past shape who you become in the future. Your ideals could shift at the drop of a hat, and you wouldn't even notice the changes until it was too late. He could relate to Kaguya. He certainly sympathized with her. Well, he sympathized with everyone. It was the kind of person that he was. He always saw the good in people, but he knew everyone was capable of evil in this world. Everyone. Even he was capable of it. Learning that Auntie Tsunade had passed away during the initial pain attack had almost broke him. His heart still hurt to this day, and he doubted that he would ever truly go away. He wanted to kill Nagato for what he did. He wanted to kill him. He had gripped his throat, but Konan had begged. She had pleaded. She had begged and pleaded to him. Why? Why was she begging and pleading for that monster? Did she not just witness he killed thousands of innocents without remorse? But yet she was willing to beg and plead for his life. The only thing that stayed his hand was the teachings that Jiraiya had bestowed upon him. Killing in vengeance wasn't going to bring the ones that you lost back. Auntie Tsunade wouldn't have wanted to see him like that. She knew him more than others knew. She was a mother he never had. As he slowly reached out, his hand passed through Kaguya like she was a ghost. I swear to you, Tenji, I will do everything in my power to make this world a better place. As she placed a soft kiss on his lip. When she raised her head, it was almost like she was looking at Naruto, like she was somehow seeing him. As Naruto met her gaze, and he could physically see the changes that were being made right there and then. This was the experience that changed her into the monster that Hagoromo believed that she was. But Naruto knew better. He didn't agree with her methods because they were inhumane, but he understood her. He understood why she was doing this, understood the lengths that she had taken and the lengths that she would take for her goal no matter what. Another flash went off as he shielded his eyes. He was silent for several moments before he slowly removed his arm from his face. As he was in an empty void of space, there was no landmarks or anything, just beautiful colors floating all around him. He rose to his feet as he took in the vast, empty space. You understand me? Naruto's eyes widened as he spun on his heel, as he came face to face with Kaguya. She was a couple feet away, as she was staring at him. Naruto was sad to realize that this wasn't a memory like before. As he just looked at her before responding, yes, I do. She took a single step forward. But you do not agree, she said. He shook his head. No. No, I don't. This isn't the way. She took another step forward. If you understand, then you must know that this is the only way, she said. He crossed his arms. No, it isn't. You've given up your humanity. As she took another step closer. I was never human to begin with, she said. Naruto shook his head, not caring about that. She had emotions, and she was capable of being reasoned with, human or not. You don't need to be human to know right from wrong. Kaguya, this is not right. Kaguya shook her head as her hair whipped her own, as a sad smile formed on her face. But she took another step closer. I know that it isn't right, but it's a path I have already chosen, she said. You can change, Kaguya, said Naruto. You can't make the world a better place like this. You are taking away the freedom that we have. This isn't peace, it's subjugation. Her sad smile strained for a moment as her eyes glistened with tears. Her head shook as she took another step forward. As she was now in reaching distance, She could almost reach out and touch him. Tears slipped down her face as an aura of sadness washed off her. It slammed into Naruto who weathered the hard emotions without strain. How else can I save a world plagued by hate and death, she asks. Rhetorically, not expecting an answer. This time it was Naruto took a step towards her. His taller stature, towering a bit over the horned goddess. His hand extended towards her, as a gentle smile formed in his face. Through loving understanding, he said. His smile was so bright the world around him seemed to change. A mismatch of yellow and orange. She looked around the empty void of space, as Naruto's emotions started to wash away. The negative presence, his bright and loving aura, settling around her, washing away all her fears and doubts. A pain emotion falling in her face as she faltered back. She took a step back. I can't, she said. No. Mankind is poison. Naruto's expression did not change as he took a full step towards her. He now stood directly in front of her. Do you truly believe that, Kaguya? Or is the pain the one that is speaking? As Naruto's aura slammed into her, like the weight of 1,000 suns, and showed no sign of slowing down or stopping one bit. As she basked in his calm, flourishing aura, tears started to seep down her face as she tried to step away from his intoxicating aura. No, stop, please. As Naruto's eyes twinkled as his arms wrapped around her smaller form as she tried to escape. Trust me, Kaguya. I know it's scary, but believe me when I say it. I can change this world, and I will change it. As he squeezed her tightly and noticed she had stopped resisting his hold. Do you know why I won't give up? She did not respond as tears flowed down her face. Her eyes clenched shut as he buried her face in his chest. She knew exactly what he was going to say. Because I never go back on my word, he said. A massive white light exploded around the both of them. As she looked up at him, the world itself seemed to crumble away. Meanwhile, Sasuke was currently in his perfect Sano as he looked down towards Kaguya. Come on, Naruto. Hurry up and finish what you're doing, he mentally shouted in his mind. He had been battling with her for the better part of an hour, and he hasn't even gotten one hit on her. Despite the distractions that Naruto was causing in her mind, he couldn't hit her. Her powers were just beyond him. Perhaps with Naruto at his side he would have stood a better chance, but not now by himself. A bow formed in the hands of Sano, as an arrow made directly from black fire formed at the tip as he pulled it back. His Rinnegan pulsed as the flames became chaotic as he aimed it towards the goddess. As he released it, a sonic boom went off from his position, destroying the earth around him. Kaguya made no move to avoid it as she just stood there. It struck her right in the chest. There was a brief moment of silence before it exploded in a twirling flame. It spun with ridiculous heat that the terrain around her turned into ash. Sasuke clenched his fist as the tornado of Amaterasu imploded upon itself as the skies darkened even further. As Sasuke waited, and Kaguya simply floated out of the smoke, barely singed or burned. What the hell? Sasuke's hand clenched so tight that blood started to seep from his palms. This can't be real, can it? His first solid attack on her did nothing. She was just walking it off. Was this truly hopeless? Did he truly stand a chance against her at all? The massive titanic structure of Susanoo started to dissipate as Sasuke fell down as he landed on his feet. But she did not move one bit. She just looked at him. What was she doing? He got his answer as a black portal appeared behind her as she disappeared inside of it. Sasuke snapped his head all around. He couldn't pinpoint her anywhere. It was like her entire presence was just evaporated. It happened so quickly he couldn't even react as a hand gripped his chin. The woman emerging from the portal right in front of him. He didn't even sense her. If Sasuke was in control of his body, his eyebrows would have narrowed, and the sad expression in her face, she was crying. Why? She just had her hands on his cheek. She was not striking him down. What was she doing? She had him dead to rights. Why wasn't she finishing him off? All she was doing is crying. Please stop, she said. Sasuke was confused because she didn't look like she was talking to him. It was almost like she was speaking with someone else. Because you never go back on your word. As Sasuke watches a bright light envelop from her body, he was blasted away as he skipped along the ground several times before coming to a stop. As he ripped the Kusanagi out of his sheath and stabbed it into the ground to slow his momentum, as he raised his head towards the dust that was kicked up from her releasing that blast. As his dojutsu managed to peer right through the dust, he spotted Naruto, who had his arms wrapped around Kaguya, comforting her. Her hands were gripping the back of his shirt, and her head was resting against his chest. Her body was shaking and trembling slightly, while Naruto had a soft smile on his face. Sasuke watched the two interact, as he did not interfere. It seems that Naruto had this handle, hopefully. Kaguya was not attacking, so that was a plus. But she seemed a bit intimate with Naruto. Sasuke shook his head at that thought. It wasn't his business, she wasn't attacking, and that was good. As he relinquished his hold on his blade, as he dropped to the ground, one of his hands supporting his upper body. He needed a damn break as he started to calm himself down. As Naruto spoke quietly, "Do you trust me, Kaguya?" he said. As she slowly nodded, without a word. How could she not? She had connected with him and showed him the most intimate moments in her life. The experiences that made her who she was. He understood her. He knew that she wasn't a monster that her sons had he believed that she was. He sympathized, he empathized, and he didn't judge her for doing what she did because he thought it was the right choice. He shared the same goal that she did. He wanted to make this world a better place. And that's all that Kaguya ever wanted. And that was the exact reason why she could not stay here. "I trust that you can make this world a better place." Her voice whispered. "Please, make my dream a reality." Naruto slowly pulled back as he looked at her. "You make it sound like you're not going to be here to see it," he said. A sad look came on her face as she glanced towards Sasuke, before glancing back towards Naruto. "Because I won't. You will be the one to finish what I started." As Naruto furrowed his eyebrows. "Why can't you stay? Why would you want to leave? This is your dream. Something you always wanted. You can help me," he said. Kaguya shook her head with a sad smile. This boy. He was too bright, too kind for his own good. He was ignoring all the horrific actions that she had did. But that was who he was as a person. He had forgiven the man that had killed his mentor and mother figure. Forgiven the man that was responsible for his parents' death. Forgiven all of the people that had spat upon him when he was nothing more than a mere baby. Even forgiven the boy that nearly killed him on multiple occasions, who he now called a brother. She had seen his entire life, just like he had seen hers. Watching him going from that lonely, depressed boy to the kind, caring man that now stood in front of her. She knew him inside and out, which made this all the more painful to do. "I would want nothing more than to witness our dreams become a reality. But I do not deserve it. I must atone for all the sins I have committed." As she turned away from him and looked towards the cocoons that hold all of mankind. "I do not deserve happiness after all I have done," she said. As Naruto frowned into her tone. "Everyone deserves to be happy, and everyone deserves a second chance," he said. She shook her head as she slowly walked away from him. "Perhaps they do, but not I. I was aware of all the atrocities that my actions caused, and now I will atone for them. Please, seal me once more, and undo the atrocities that I have committed," she said. Naruto took a step forward. He was about to speak until he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Sasuke with a small frown. The two of them stared at each other for a full minute before Naruto sighed. A hint of sadness appeared in his eyes as he returned his gaze back to Kaguya. "Are you sure? I can help you," he said. Her chest clenched tightly as she shook her head. "You must seal me away," she said, as his tone was layered in nothing but sadness. "If that is what you want," he said. Sure." Sasuke was looking towards the two of them. This was a unique situation. These two were interacting like they had known each other their entire life. Sasuke would have questioned how that was possible, but he knew Naruto. He was able to connect with people on, well, levels, even after just meeting them. Kaguya was clearly no different, but this seemed far more intimate. As Naruto stepped towards her with Sasuke following right behind, she was still looking at what she did. Her face was looking at everything disappointedly. She had thrown a tantrum because of Tenji's betrayal as she looked at everything. Was it even really a betrayal? Not really. Being a clear mind like Tenji, as she was a bigger threat to humanity as a whole than the land of that ever was. After a look at the outcome that she has done, humanity was being enslaved once again, and the only people that were able to match her was two teens that held the power of her beloved son. She deserved whatever fate the gods have for her, and she will accept it with open arms. She felt two hands make contact with her back. She did not react, she just kept on looking out. Can I ever speak to you again? Said Naruto. Sasuke believed that was a rather odd question to ask, as he looked towards his best friend. Kaguya was silent for a moment before she spoke. You are aware of the others, she said, as she looked at him. Only then, you're allowed to unseal me. Sasuke was confused by the answer, until Naruto spoke up quickly. We'll be ready, he said. I promise. As she looked towards him with a smile. Goodbye, Naruto, she said. As Naruto swallowed as she addressed him by his name. Goodbye, Kaguya, he said. As he flared his chakra with Sasuke doing the same, the symbols in their hands glowed brightly. Shibaku no Tensei. Kaguya slowly rose to the sky as the earth started to shake. As Naruto watched her with saddened eyes, she became a mere speck in the sky as pieces of earth rocketed towards her, as they crashed into her, trapping her in an inescapable prison. Rock after rock after rock was formed. After a full 10 minutes of non-stop rocks flashing up into the sky, it finally ceased, as a giant satellite of rock was just floating in the sky. As Naruto simply looked up towards it, who would have thought that this would be the outcome of the war? He had changed a goddess. He should be happy, but he wasn't. And he didn't really know why. He was happy that he stopped her and saved the world, but he was feeling kind of empty. Are you okay, kid? He heard the voice of Kurama, who had been silent the entire time. He was embarrassed to admit that he almost forgot about his new friend. He sighed, before speaking aloud to his Biju. Yeah, I'm okay, I think. Kurama did not respond. He didn't bother to correct Naruto's obvious lie. Kurama and Naruto were now synced on a level that only Bijus and Jinchurikis could share. As Naruto turned towards Sasuke, who was looking at him, without even blinking. What? He asked. Sasuke was silent before shaking his head as he looked towards the satellite in the sky. Nothing, he said. Come on, let's release the jutsu. As he held up his hand, as Naruto raised his hand as well, as the both of them formed the hand sign, they pulsed their chakra. The giant tree writhed for a moment before it started to release a cocoon, as mankind started to leave their genjutsu paradise. Man, woman, child all broke free of their confines, as Naruto saw all of his friends and his close ones, smiling and cheering. It brought a smile to his face, but the smile did not exactly reach his eyes. While he was happy that he saved the world and free of his friends, he felt like he was missing something, as he looked up towards a massive orb. Kaguya prison. A small smile disappeared as his hands went into his pockets. Several shinobis jumped up to the perch that him and Sasuke was on, but he ignored them and still looked up in the sky. Why do I miss you so much? Sasuke interacted with his friends, but never took his eyes off Naruto, who wasn't interacting with the others, as Sasuke frowned at that. The smile on his face was fake, as he could see it in his eyes. Something wasn't right. Perhaps it was a shock of everything that just happened in such a short amount of time. Naruto would be fine. At least that is what Sasuke told himself. And he didn't know how wrong he would be in the future. Time skip. 3 years later. Hey, Auntie Snatty. The soft voice of Naruto spoke, as the sound of a bottle being uncorked. Pop. You could hear it. I got your favorite. Gamabunta wasn't being stingy. He laughed a bit. It was a much more mature Naruto, as he sat down on the grassy terrain. In front of a large grave made of stone, etched into the rock was a memorial of Tsunade's face. As Naruto pulled out 2 glass bottles, several flowers and vases, or against her tomb. As he arranged the bottles side by side as he poured Tsunade's favorite sake into the glass, he had a smile on his face. His hair was a bit shorter, but it still had that spiky image that he was known for. He had a black jacket with a sleeve cuffed at his forearms, a pair of orange pants that were tucked in black toe sandals. Kakashi Sensei said I'll be able to take over the mantle in a couple of years, he said, as he clinked the glass against his. The 20-year-old man chuckled silently as he stared at the memorial stone. I miss you, he said, a lot. You were always there for me. It's hard, Auntie Snatty. Very hard. I'm a Jonin now. A smile shifted into a grin as tears leaked from his eyes, run down his cheeks. I've tried the dating scene. Well, it didn't lead anywhere. All I think about is her. He did not elaborate as he just sat there for a couple of minutes as a gentle breeze swept by, blowing his short hair. He then drank the steak. You know, I never get to tell you how much I loved you, he said. You were like a mother to me. Thank you, Auntie Snatty. I love you, he said, as he downed the rest of the steak. His eyes then went towards the satellite of rock that was a few 100 miles away from Konoha, never being touched or bothered. He had made sure of that he had clones around it, to make sure it wasn't tampered with or bothered. It was a painful reminder. He had thought about Kaguya every night he fell asleep. At first he thought that it was a phase, but it was different. He connected with a lot of people. Neji, Garis, Snatty, Nagato, Obito, Sasuke. But with Kaguya, it was like an obsession. His heart felt empty. It had gone so bad he sought out Kakashi for help. He didn't tell Kakashi who he was talking about. Kakashi had teased him about it first, questioning if what he was feeling was about a woman. When Naruto had confirmed that Kakashi had went quiet, and Kakashi had told him what he was putting off. Sounds like you're in love, Naruto. It didn't really surprise him because he figured that was the case, but he had pushed it in the back of his mind. It was weird. Crazy. He was in love with Kaguya Otsutsuki, the same woman who had given birth to the Sage of Six Paths, the same woman who almost enslaved humanity, not once, but twice. It was crazy, right? He knew her for less than 5 hours and he was absolutely in love with her. He had seen her entire life play out, and the events that followed behind it. He knew everything about her. How was he not supposed to fall for her? Yes, her actions and the sins that she'd committed were atrocious, but she had changed. Was it weird? Perhaps. In love with a goddess. Kami. What would his mother think? Actually, she would probably be happy that he found someone, and jump for joy that he was in love with the strongest woman in the elemental nation. He shook his head of those thoughts as he got to his feet. As he placed a kiss on the stone memorial of Snatty, right on her forehead, he felt someone appear behind him. As he raised an eyebrow as he turned, there was a pale-skinned man that stood behind him, who shared a heavy resemblance to the Otsutsukis. Instantly, Naruto started drawing nature chakra. What's your name? Said Naruto. The pale-skinned man was silent for several moments before a small smile shaped on his face. His eyes were not open, and Naruto suspected that he lacked actual pupils. My name is Taneri Otsutsuki, and I wanted to meet the hero of the fourth Great Shinobu War for myself. You do not disappoint, he said calmly. Taneri Otsutsuki. That was not one of the names that he learned from Kaguya memories, as Naruto directed the entire weight of his chakra on the man. This guy was not near his level. To the way he was flinching from his base chakra, he would crush him without even have to access Karma power. So if that was the case, why was he here? Any particular reason why you're here, Taneri Otsutsuki? You wouldn't be able to touch me in case you were wondering. I suggest you return back to where you came from. My best friend. Isn't that understanding as me? The Otsutsuki eyebrow narrowed before he felt a cold blade on his throat. His body tensed up as he turned to face the person behind him. What's the Otsutsuki doing here? Rinnegan and Sharingan looking back at him. Mangekyou Sharingan, that is. Beats me, Sasuke, said Naruto. He didn't attack me, so... As Naruto gestured for Naruto to speak. It doesn't mean that you won't cause trouble, said Sasuke. As Naruto shrugged and turned his shoulders. Let me know what you find. I'm going to visit her, said Naruto, as he vanished in a yellow flash, leaving his friend with the unknown Otsutsuki. Naruto appeared right on top of Kaguya prison as he sat down. And he just sat and sat and sat for hours. For what? He wasn't entirely sure. Well, that was a lie. If the Otsutsukis that were chasing her found this plant, then he was ready to release her at a moment's notice. These beings were incredibly powerful, and while he and Sasuke were powerful, they were not exactly Otsutskis. It's not to say that they didn't train and get stronger, but it would pale in comparison to the natural overwhelming power that the Otsutskis possess. Naruto was more powerful than when he was 17. Incredibly so, but that didn't mean that he should get, well, hot-headed and overthink things. That Momoshiki guy scared Kaguya. Granted, it was before she ate the fruit, But still, it never hurt to be prepared just in case, for the worst. All three of those Otsutsuki's could attack at the same time. "How are you, Kaguya?" said Naruto. He was silent for several minutes before he spoke up again. "I visited Auntie's Natty today. I share some steak with her. I still hate the taste," as he lied down on the rock. "I still don't get how people can drink this stuff. It tastes awful." As he closed his eyes. "My birthday is coming up soon, and I'm not really feeling it. The guys won't take me out drinking, but I'm not really an alcoholic guy. But I'm barely in the village nowadays. All the peace talks, training, and the missions between the nations. So I guess I should just go out and be with my friends," he said. Several hours passed as he sat there having a one-sided conversation with her. As Naruto slowly opened his eyes, after the hours had passed, Sasuke was standing in front of him. "So, what did you learn?" said Naruto. "He has an obsession with Hinata." As Sasuke looked if he would see Naruto react, but there was none. "Oh? What did you do to him?" said Naruto. The sound of dripping liquid was what confirmed it. "Sakura's gonna be mad that you're spilling blood again." Sasuke did not respond to his statement. That Otsutsuki would have been a problem, and problem at that, are best dealt with swiftly. "Did he suffer?" Naruto asked. "That would require me caring enough to do so," said Sasuke. "You know you could have just said no, you bastard," said Naruto. As Sasuke simply smirked. "Still here, huh?" he said, changing the subject. "Just ask what you want to ask," said Naruto. "You love her, don't you?" A few minutes passed. "Yeah, I do," said Naruto. "Why do you ask?" Sasuke turned and vanished without saying a single word. "Stupid bastard," said Naruto. Time skip. 12 years later. Sadara Uchiha versus Nara Shikadai. A much older Naruto opened his eyes as they went down towards a large arena below him. He was resting his cheek on his fist, not really paying much attention to the happenings of the Chunin exams. As bad as that sounded, he took his job seriously as 7th Hokage, but sometimes he just got lazy. "Hokage Dano." The voice of the fortress Hokage Kurosaki came out. "Bored already," she said. Naruto glanced towards his four fellow Kages who were looking at him, with raised eyebrow. "A little bit, yeah. Can you blame me though?" he said, as he focused on the fight that was currently happening. The other Kages chatted with another, as Naruto looked towards Sadara as he watched her footwork. She moved just like Sasuke did at their age, but fought with a ferocity and passion as her mother. She was clearly Sasuke and Sakura's daughter. Shikadai was more or less Shikamaru, with a hint of Temari. Well, he was more motivated, and that was a good sign. Unlike Shikamaru, he was willing to go out and train, without the threat of Temari. Battle fan. As Naruto felt that prick at the back of his neck, his eyes shifted towards Sasuke, who was standing on one of the beam, looking over at the fight. The two men share a single look before they flared their chakra, as the arena became enveloped in their chakra. Every person in the village stopped what they were doing, as the two strongest men in the elemental nation exerted their will upon the world. Dark purple chakra matched together with the bright orange chakra, covering the village. Another strong presence descended upon their chakra. "Well, look what we have here." As Naruto looked up in the skies, he saw a pale-skinned man. He sported two horns on top of his crown, and his power was rather impressive. As Naruto flashed beside Sarga and Shikadai, his hands on their shoulders, as Sasuke appeared in the arena as well. "Kyuubi Jinjuriki," the man in the sky said. "I will be taking that power inside of you." Another Otsutsuki flashed beside the man. He was much larger, and his power was decent as well. But he was not really enough to challenge him or Sasuke. But that shorter one, he could be a threat. "You are that strong, all things considered," said Naruto. "But you don't even compare to Kaguya." The man changed instantly as his face twisted in anger. His chakra exploded outwards, as the ground that Naruto was standing on cracked, as his chakra burst out as well. As the Heiori appeared behind him, the 6 Megatama markings on his back, as the black balls appeared behind him. "I would say that you're Momoshiki, judging by the reaction to Kaguya's name. I've got a score to settle with you, midget," said Naruto. As the man eyed twitched in nothing but rage. "You dare mock me, you little monkey. I will show you." Momoshiki was cut off as Naruto appeared in a blink of eye and grabbed him by the face. As he flashed away with Momoshiki, as Naruto trusted that Sasuke could deal with the other one. Meanwhile, as Naruto tossed Momoshiki out of the sky, boom, he slammed into the earth. As Naruto stood over him, his hands in his pockets, the ground exploded outwards as Momoshiki erupted from it with nothing but rage and anger. But guys, we end this episode right here. If you enjoyed part 1 of this movie and you want to see part 2, guys, comment down below and tell me. I'll be posting that as soon as possible for you guys to enjoy. And yeah, remember to stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way over Anime King to Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what fun every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, all for now, see you guys soon, peace.